Hello guys, Lit here. So this is another prototype and I play around with melee, try to find another setup that kind of good for Scion. And this is Cyclone with General Cry with Shockwave. So this compared to the other two before, this one is more balanced, have defense, have offense. The damage is not as big as Wonder, but it's a lot tankier. And we also have pretty good amount of recovery, and the clear is still also pretty good. Now the downside of Cyclone is number one, the movement speed is usually not that fast. I do have some contingency for that one, but generally speaking, compared to something like Wonder, the clear speed on Wonder will be always better. But Cyclone is not that far behind. And another downside of this one is because this slam skill, you really depending on your weapons. So you really need to be able to get like good weapons when you get into maps, especially when you're talking about red map and when you start to like boss rushing or try to do some other mechanic. A good weapon is really needed. On the showcase, this is like 600 PDP as maze, so it's not super crazy, but it's also not that bad either. We also get plenty of armor, we got endurance charges and also frenzy charges, so the setup feels pretty smooth for single target or clear, and I think this setup is pretty good for leaguestart. So let's get into the setup. So the first one is the Cyclone. This is the Cyclone. And there's a two Cyclone. The number one is the basic Cyclone. And the second one is Cyclone of Tumult. Now the difference between this and this is the normal Cyclone is you can move a lot faster, but your damage is not that high. As for Cyclone of Tumult, it's able to gain stages, so if I charges, so the more stages it has, the more attack speed you're going to have, the harder you're going to hit, but it's also slower than a normal Cyclone, so it does have a movement speed penalty. So it's really depending on the content. Like for boss rushing, I will use Tumult, because in a sense you still can clear like just pressing it one by one like this. The AoE is still pretty big. I mean, it doesn't look like that big, but it's actually still pretty big. And for single target, this will give you quite a lot of DPS. And for the general cry, I probably have to go to somewhere. I think we can go here. I just done the invitations. I will show the showcase at the end of the video. But basically, general cry, if you have a corpse, it will spawn this small warrior over here. So this, because we link them with Grand Slam of Earthshaking, this is what you see the spike coming out, and this is basically automatic. And this is like additional DPS, and it does help a lot with clear. It also helps a lot with single target. And you don't have to keep casting the Desecrate because the General Cry is not consuming the corpse. It just need a corpse there to spawn the minion. So what I usually do when I get into arena like this, I will put one corpse here, I will put one corpse here, and usually it will cover our area by death. So you don't really have to like spawn, keep casting the Desecrate. So Desecrate is just one time cast only. So that's basically the two main skill, and in this one we do have quite a lot of damage reductions. The first one we have 45 from here. We have like 23 45, that's 23% damage reductions. And we also have infused channeling. This is 14% with quality. If you don't have quality, it's like 12%. And we also have endurance charges. We have 5, I think. We have 1, 2, and the base is 3, right? So it's 5. And the way we generate it is, number one, on mapping, we can get them by killing monster, or we can get them by getting hit. So in bossing scenario, this is the main way to gain endurance charges. Now there's another way to gain them by using the implicit on the chest, which is, I forget which one it is. It's Searing Exile or Eternal Volt. But there's one implicit that basically you can get endurance charges every like 13 to 15 seconds, depending on the grade. And we basically also can take like charge durations, and that's basically make you able to stack the endurance charges to 5 on boss fight. But so far, this seems to be good enough, and we do get hit quite a lot because we are melee. So far, the endurance charges on bosses is not really that big of a deal. So we do have quite a lot of DR, and we also have a really good recovery thanks to the Slayer node, basically life leech effect not removed when your life is filled. And normally when life leech, or even if you're using pot, whenever your life is full, every recovery will stop. And when you get hit again, you have to do damage in order to leech again. So this basically make the recovery become very smooth because the recovery always on. So whenever you take damage, the recovery always already in place to recover you. And the cooling strike is just 10% more DPS, and the 30% area of effect is really nice for mapping, and cannot take reflect physical damage. It's just really nice because you can run reflect maps. Because we are basically doing only physical damage, so we don't really care about the reflect elemental. And with this node, we also can do the reflect physical. And another Ascendancy node is Trickster, and this one is mostly just about the DPS because we do get like a bunch of variety of mastery. So this end up giving us like 20% DPS. It's not that bad. It's not super crazy either. Another options is we can go for, let me respect this. Another node that we can go for is Saboteur. Saboteur is pretty good because of the 50% cooldown recovery rate. That will be very, very good for the General Cry. And the RF effect is also pretty nice, more AoE, better clear. And 20% to deal 50% more area damage is also really nice. And the 25% chance to blind enemy is like a little bit layer of defense, but it's not that big, but it's still pretty nice to have. So there's the two options you can go for. But I think I like Trickster a little bit more, even though the only thing that I get here is basically just the damage, and also the nearby enemy action speed is most 90% base value. This is like slow down the enemy a little bit. It's pretty helpful because we are taking a lot of hits, so slowing them down is really, really good. And for the tree, I still go from the Scion starting point. This is because I'm taking the Osabi bloodline. So this is also the reason why I don't have this 2 point over here. So we basically sacrifice 3 skill point to get the bloodline. And this is really good because it gives you plus 20 maximum rage. And we have a lot of maximum rage here. This one gives us 10. This one gives intimidate, and we also have like some maximum rage here. And also like this one give movement speed. We can also go for like the 7+7 maximum rage. That's also pretty good, but the increased movement speed is really good for like just movement in general, because like we generate the rage pretty often. So we do proc the Wild Savagery on this one pretty often too. So Wild Savagery give 100% increased physical damage, 10% action speed. So this is like a nice burst window. It's also happens pretty often, so I think this bloodline works really well. And everything else is pretty standard. This is Life Leech node, and reason why I'm using this Life Leech node compared to this one, because this one is also a Life Leech that you can take. You just basically need to move this 2 point into here, and you can connect them via here. It does cost you 1 more point, but the most important part from this cluster of leech is it increases your maximum total life recovery. So this basically, so life leech have a cap on how much life you can leech. It doesn't matter how much your damage. Like after your damage reaches a certain point, there's a cap on how much life you can leech. And this node basically increases the maximum cap. So this is 30% and this is 40%. So we have like 70% increase the maximum total recovery. So this is why the reason the life recovery feels really, really good. And for the weapons, I'm using mace. There's 2 options you can go for. The first one is mace, the second one is staff. Now the benefit from staff is you can get a node like this, which basically you can gain power charges, you can go for a crit, and it also allows you to block. And there's also like block stuff here, right? You can block, you basically can cap your block if you are using staff. And there's also, I think also this one here, this also give crit multi, also give some block. So this is really, really good if you want to go for a staff. And the upside of mace is give you a lot of AoE. So the mace node give you like this AoE, 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 and the mace itself is also give AoE. And I think this one is also giving some AoE, 50% area effect. So mace give a lot of AoE, and that's the reason why, even though we don't have really like a lot of investment on AoE, this is still a decent amount of area of effect, right? So that's the reason why I go for mace, but you can also go for staff. It's just you need to spend a little bit more point here, and you're going to have a little bit better defense because you have block. And you can also go for crit a lot easier with staff. So it's really depending on the conditions. Going staff probably a little bit better because you get both defense and offense, but it's really up to you which one you want to go for. The one I'm testing is with mace, but we can also go for staff. And for the weapon itself, it's just a lot of physical damage. This is spamming Essence of Contempt. I'm using Streaking and looking for the hybrid, if possible, also getting the attack speed. And then you just craft the percentage physical damage. And this is a very standard way to craft mace, but With Bridge 3 still here, and we also have Faustus, you probably can get a better mace there. So this is more like a bottom line if you really have to craft it yourself. For other items, it's pretty standard, like life, armor, resistance. Like this one is the same, life, armor, resistance. This one is also the same. This one actually pretty good, life, and I got like double T1 and T2. I think this one is just, yeah, T2 and T1. So this one is quite a good glove. The armor is a bit lacking, but the resistance is there. And for the boots, life, movement speed, resistance is the same thing for melee, slammer. The item is very standard. You do want to get quite a lot of armor on your chest, because chest is one place that you can get a lot of armor, and you don't have to worry about life because we are using this node over here. You gain 50% increase maximum life if there's no life modifier on your body armor. So you do want to get a decent amount of armor. This is 3,000 is not a lot. If I remember, this can go up to like 7,000 if I remember it right. It's been a while since I played Slam, so I not really remember all the number, but this armor can get very high if you craft them properly. The helmet is also the other place that you can get a lot of armor from it. And for the belt, this is a Vanguard belt, Perseverance. This is really nice because it gives you onslaught whenever you are fortified. And this is basically permanent onslaught because you're always going to have fortified as long as you are in the battle. 1% increase doesn't really matter. The cold resistance, if you get a good roll, that's nice. Maximum life, a good roll is also nice. But I choose this belt especially just for the onslaught. And for the ring, it's just life and resistance. It's the same thing. You do want intelligence somewhere though, like this one, intelligence. I forget. I think there's another place that I have intelligence because we don't really have a lot of intelligence in 3, and we need the intelligence for Purity of Elements. If you want to go for more damage, you can go for Pride. If you want to go for Pride, the easy way to go for it is we have a really good access for Jewel. Number 1 is this one, number 2 is this one, and we also have 2 this one. If you can get 2 Abyssal Jewel, there is an Abyssal Jewel that can give you a 50% avoid being shot. So if you can get that 2 Jewel, and basically you can use Storm's Route, you don't need the Purity of Element anymore. But you also have to fix your resistance. So Purity of Element just solve a lot of problem on day 1 and make things a lot easier. So I like to use Purity of Elements. And another thing is also with Hextouch. I'm using Hextouch. This is level 18 because I cannot level them up because I only have 180 intelligence. You don't really have to do it. I'm using Punishment. You can also use something like Vulnerability. But I like to use Punishment because Punishment also give the enemy Debilitate. Debilitate is basically make them deal less damage. So it's basically make me a little bit tankier. And when the enemy go below 50%, they take 58% increased damage. So this is really nice for offense and defense. And Hextouch is basically every time I'm Frostbring like this, if I hit an enemy, they will be cursed because of the Hextouch. So this is just for convenience. But Hextouch does have a downside where it's going to reduce the effect of your curse. So it's basically a trade-off, and I basically just want to do this, and I can just spin around, and I can keep casting the Frostblade just to apply the curse. Basically, that's about it. If you don't mind casting it yourself, then you can just remove the Hextouch, and you'll be fine. And for the Amulet, life, rest, and increased damage while leeching, there's a lot of damage from there. And also the anointment, I'm going for Deep Breath. And Deep Breath is mostly for the General Cry, because General Cry, if you see over here, the cooldown is 1.83 seconds. Now, if I take this one out, did I still have it? Now it's become 2.3 seconds, right? So this amulet basically make the cooldown of the General Cry become a lot lower, and you basically, they do more damage more often. This is basically the attack speed for the General Cry. And this is also the reason why you can also go for the Saboteur, because Saboteur also gives you 15% CDR. And for the Flask is pretty simple. 1 Quicksilver, 1 Basalt, and 1 Granite. This is because we do have a decent amount of armor, 12,500. And if the Flask is active, we have like 23. And also if we are having the Rage, like every Rage gives us 1% increased armor. I think when everything's up, it's around 28,000 armor. Like, it's not super crazy amount, but it's good amount where we can basically just stand around and tank quite a lot of things, as you can see on the showcase later. So that's basically the Flask. The most important part is just to gain 3 charges when you hit by an enemy. This will keep your Flask mostly up. especially when you on bosses because you will tank stuff. So getting charges that way is also not that bad. And the mana flask is really important when you don't have the channeling skill have -3, and this one also have channeling skill -3. Basically, the cyclone costs 5 mana. If you don't have this, you're going to run out of mana because we don't really have a lot of mana regenerations. And we do have like a damage list as mana like this. This is pretty nice, but this is pretty nice if you can get them. You can also get them from a ring. I only get them from the weapon. So this is the physical attack damage is pretty nice. You can also get them from here. So you basically remove this one, and you basically spend one more point, and you can the physical damage attack leads as mana. This is good when you're on battle, but when you're out of the battle, you're still going to lose your mana. So having a flask like this is really, really nice just to fill the void when you're out of the battle, even if you have the physical damage attack list as mana. And for the life flask, it's just a very standard life flask. You want to instant recovery when on low life. This is going to fill up basically a big part of your life and immunity to bleed and corrupt the blood. On day 1, this is pretty much mandatory. You have to have a flask that can give you immunity to bleed and corrupt the blood. Yeah, I think that's about it. The setup is pretty simple. You just basically spin around and kill things, and things dies and all the stuff. So I quite like this one. And then there's also a setup from Jangron a few leagues ago, I think. There's a Scion versions for the endgame. The damage seems pretty good. He goes for suppressions. We can probably tweak it a little bit, and we can make it on the left side. It's really depending on, but that Scions, from what I saw, I played up with the POP. The damage seems nice. It also seems pretty tanky. So that's probably something we can use for the end game as like the guideline, and we'll see how it goes if we like start this one. But obviously, we still wait for the patch note. 26, we're going to get a refill. We're going to see what's get nerfed, what gets buff. I just want to have like some other setup just in case the Fusilade getting nerfed, because I do try the campaign with Fusilade. The Ballista Fusilade is pretty crazy in terms of that damage. Like the damage is really, really insane. So I don't know if that's going to survive. So I just want to do another setup, just try to find other setup that feels good. And so far this one feels really good, feels very well balanced. You don't need a lot of stuff to start. It's pretty easy to put together. It's a lot easier to set this one up rather than Earthshatter. Like Earthshatter have a better damage, but you do have quite a lot of preparation to do. Like for example, like quality on your Warcry, quality on your Earthshatter and all that stuff. So you do need to farm the third level quite a lot on the Earthshatter. This one is a lot easier to do. So I think that's it from me. As usual, if you guys have any questions, leave it comment below. And also if you guys have any suggestions on like what skill to play on Scion, let me know in the comment. I can try it out. But for now, that's it for me. Thank you everyone for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one.